Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Jeremy Ganes alongside NFL analyst Noah Chast. The free agency frenzy of the past week has calmed down, and we can finally close the book on the biggest acquisitions that we've seen in the league. Let's recap the blockbuster moves that NFL teams made. Starting, of course, with the big trade that we saw Odell Beckham Jr. going to the Browns for a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and Jabril Peppers, the safety from Cleveland. So let's grade out this trade and look at how these teams are going to look going forward, starting with the Browns.
Well, this was obviously a huge win for the Browns. I mean, a first and a third is a lot to give up, but they've been racking up picks for years now. They're ready to move on to established players and start winning. And now, I mean, you just look at that offense. They're one of, on paper, the most explosive offenses at the skill positions. They have Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, Nick Chubb, now Odell Beckham Jr., and they will have, around week 8 in the season, Kareem Hunt returning to that squad. So they just have, at the skill positions, just such a talented team, and they're really going to become a must-watch football team this season.
Yeah, of course, you mentioned Kareem Hunt, that 8-game suspension being announced recently by the league. Of course, now let's shift gears to the Giants. This is an interesting move for them. How would you grade it out for Big Blue?
I'd say this is a very bad trade for the Giants. I mean, they did get a lot in return, and it was, quote-unquote, an offer they couldn't refuse, but Odell Beckham Jr. is such a talented player. He's a millennial talent, and it just didn't seem like a smart move for the organization, especially after paying him as recently as they did. I just don't think it was the right move.
Yeah, there's certainly, sorry to cut you off there, but certainly questions about what their long-term plan is going forward. It's hard to tell if they're rebuilding, reloading, or actually trying to go for the playoffs, because that's what they said a couple years ago, and now it doesn't look like they're keeping any of the talent that would make a playoff run possible. But of course, now they made another move recently, letting Landon Collins walk to the Redskins, didn't tag him. He signs for 6 years, $84 million in free agency. I want to know if this is too much money in the contract, or if the Giants were justified in letting this happen.
Well, this is another move that kind of points the Giants more towards a rebuilding stage. Landon Collins was arguably one of their best defensive players last year, and while they are getting a younger defensive player in Jabril Peppers on their team, it does point to the signs that they are really going back to rebuilding. The Redskins, they may have paid a little bit too much for him, but it was, I would say, a steal on the market, considering it didn't seem like a couple weeks ago a player that the Giants would even let go.
Yeah, certainly you have to think about how Landon Collins might be so talented that they should be trying to build around him scheme-wise, but I guess they didn't see a long-term future for him with the organization, and they let him walk in free agency as opposed to trying to tag and trade him. But we also saw the Giants make a move to, I guess, arguably replace Odell, but not quite, with Golden Tate signing for 4 years, $37.5 million with the Giants. Is this the right move for them?
So this is a move that almost contradicts their rebuilding statement now, signing Golden Tate for $37.5 million. So he's clearly not an Odell Beckham Jr. replacement, but he is on the top end of receivers in the league. I think it's maybe something just to keep the fans engaged and to have an established receiver when hopefully things turn around for this organization. But I don't think it was the smartest move. Along with keeping Eli in the mix, it just doesn't seem like it sticks with their trend of becoming a new, different, younger team.
Yeah, Golden Tate was looked at by most teams, I think, as a number 2 receiver, not necessarily number 1. So you can argue that the Giants are downgrading here. So it's really hard to tell what they're kind of thinking with this move. But of course, the Jets made some moves as well. It was a busy week in New York football. Of course, Le'Veon Bell going to the Jets, $52.5 million over 4 years. Does this make them better, and how much? Does it push them into the playoffs?
So this absolutely is a great signing for the Jets. It makes them a much better team. Le'Veon Bell is arguably a top 5 running back, and this will take a lot of pressure off quarterback Sam Darnold. Le'Veon Bell is a great pass catcher as well as a running back, and this will help him become a better young quarterback. However, I don't think this really propels the Jets to a playoff team. We've seen plenty of great teams with great running backs in the league. That's not all it takes to become a playoff or Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, certainly not as many teams are relying on one guy like Bell and the way the Jets probably would, but they made some moves like C.J. Mosley on defense to improve as well. But of course, they have a lot of holes, so definitely not going to be easy for them to get better with these couple moves. They'll still have a lot more work to do, especially in the draft. But we've, of course, talked the biggest moves in the league, but fans really know that second-tier moves are what GMs really make their bread and butter on. So let's talk about guys who are still left in free agency and the teams that they could potentially help.
Absolutely. So there's a few guys that I want to point out. A lot of defensive free agents are left on the market, some of which a little bit older but can still have a huge impact on their team. One guy I want to talk about is Ndamukong Suh, the defensive tackle that was with the Rams this past year. Like I said, he's a little bit past his prime. He's getting up there in age, but he makes a huge impact on defense, especially in close games and important games. In the playoffs last year, he had 10 tackles and 1.5 sacks. Now, it does not seem like the Rams are going to re-sign him. They re-signed Dante Fowler to a 1-year, $12 million deal. It seems like they're ready to move on, especially for the type of money he's looking for. I personally think he'll be a good fit with the Patriots, where he could pair up with in the interior with Michael Bennett, who they just signed, or the Saints, who will be without Shelton Rankins for the first 6 weeks of their season.
Yeah, we'll stick with defense here and talk about Eric Berry getting released by the Chiefs. You know, he's been a real solid player for them over the years, a real contributor on that defense, but had some injury issues, obviously dealt with leukemia and other more football-related injuries, so he's had trouble staying on the field, and that's a big reason why he's not in Kansas City anymore. But, you know, that veteran presence of a guy who really understands how a defense works and can be plugged into pretty much any system is valuable to a team that's trying to compete right now. So if he can stay healthy, he can definitely have a lot to contribute to a defense.
Absolutely. And one last guy I want to talk about on the offensive end is Randall Cobb, the wide receiver for the Packers. He's been a steady target for Aaron Rodgers, but at this stage in his career, it just doesn't make sense financially for the Packers to keep him. One of the most for the veteran receiver are the Cowboys, who need a number 2 alongside Amari Cooper, and I've been told he has been at their camp at some point this week working out with the team.
So Randall Cobb, another guy to look at. But that'll do it for our NFL free agency update and predictions. Make sure to check back with Penn State Sports Night for continuing coverage of the NFL Draft and other NFL offseason news. I'm Jeremy Ganes for Noah Chast. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching our latest edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also follow us on Twitter at PSSNTV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.